The story begins in a small mining town in Arizona called Prosperity. Once famous for its gold mines, the town is now almost lifeless because the mines have been shut down. One night, a man is driving a truck full of toxic chemicals. Suddenly, a rabbit jumps in front of his truck. While trying to save it, the driver loses control, and one of the chemical barrels falls into a nearby pond. The next day, a man named Joshua comes to the same pond to catch insects for his pet spiders. He has no idea that the water has now turned poisonous. Joshua loves spiders and visits the pond every day to collect bugs for them to eat. A few days later, his young friend Mike comes to visit, as he's also interested in spiders. But when one of the spiders suddenly jumps on the glass, Mike gets scared. That's when he notices the spiders have grown much bigger. Joshua explains that he's been feeding them special mutant crickets and believes this discovery will make him rich someday. Just then, one of his large tarantulas escapes from its cage. While Joshua searches for it, he shows Mike his deadliest spider, Canuella, the queen spider, whose venom can dissolve her prey from the inside. After Mike leaves for school, Joshua realizes that one of his spiders is missing. As he searches, it suddenly crawls onto his back and bites his neck. Joshua screams in pain and accidentally breaks all the cages, releasing hundreds of spiders into the room. The spiders attack everything, even Joshua's pet parrot. A week later, Mike returns to visit Joshua again. But near the pond, his mother, Sheriff Samantha, stops him. She and her deputy Pete are investigating the strange toxic barrel that fell earlier, trying to send it to a lab for testing. Samantha knows the area is dangerous, so she forces Mike to get into the truck and head home. On their way, they spot a group of teenage bikers doing wild stunts on the road. Samantha stops them, only to find that one of the bikers is her own daughter, Ashley. Angry, she makes Ashley get in the truck too, and fines the mayor's son, Brett, for reckless driving. That night, Ashley spends hours chatting on the phone, ignoring the fact that her brother Mike also wants to use it. Annoyed, Mike secretly messes with the phone wires so it looks like the line is dead. When Ashley finally gives up, Mike quickly calls Joshua, but no one answers. Joshua's house is now completely covered in spider webs, and his body has become food for the giant spiders, which have grown to the size of dogs. Meanwhile, at the town mall, Mayor Wade gathers the townspeople and explains that Prosperity's condition is getting worse. He suggests building a huge commercial complex to boost the economy, but for that, he needs to buy everyone's land. The locals strongly oppose this idea, especially Chris, the son of a former mine owner. Chris's father died in a mining accident 10 years ago, and Chris believes his father had discovered a rich gold vein before dying. That's why he refuses to sell his property. The argument between Wade and Chris heats up until Chris punches Wade in anger. Before things get worse, Sheriff Samantha steps in to stop them. She warns Chris that his temper has always been his biggest weakness and tells him that this time she's letting him go, but next time she won't. Later that night, strange things start happening at Deputy Pete's house. His cat notices movement inside the air vent. A spider has crawled in. Curious, the cat follows it. Meanwhile, Pete's wife, busy arguing with her husband, reaches for a can in the kitchen, unaware that a spider is lurking nearby. Suddenly, they hear their cat's painful cries echoing from inside the vent. The walls start to bulge, as if something huge is moving inside them. The sounds grow louder, moving toward the ceiling. Then the lights flicker, and they hear one last desperate scream from their cat before everything goes silent. The next morning, Chris visits his Aunt Gladys and tells her that years ago, he left town after fighting with Samantha's ex-husband. He admits he still has feelings for Samantha, even after all this time. Gladys smiles and says, "If you still love her, then do something about it." Meanwhile, Mike tries to sneak out of the house to check on Joshua, but realizes his mom has locked his bike with a handcuff. At the same time, Ashley is heading out to meet her boyfriend Brett, and Samantha warns her to be careful, even handing her a taser for protection. At the same time, Chris arrives at Samantha's house with a bouquet of flowers and asks her out for dinner. Samantha smiles softly and agrees. While the two are busy talking, Mike quietly sneaks out of the house. He walks all the way to Joshua's place, but what he finds there shocks him completely. The entire house is covered in thick spider webs, yet there's not a single spider in sight. Both Joshua and his parrot are missing. As Mike explores behind the house, he notices huge claw marks on the ground, proof that the spiders have grown into giant monsters. Following the trail toward the mines, he finds a huge spider leg lying on the ground. Suddenly, from the darkness inside the mine, he spots a massive spider moving. Terrified, Mike turns around and runs for his life before the creature can see him. Meanwhile, in another part of the mine, Chris is busy with his men, trying to locate the gold vein his father once discovered. After finishing work, he drives down the road and spots Mike walking alone. He stops and gives him a ride. On the way, Mike nervously tries to explain everything, that Joshua's spiders have grown enormous and might attack humans soon. He even shows Chris the huge spider leg he found, but Chris laughs it off, thinking Mike is just joking or imagining things. Back at the mine, one of the workers notices that his air pipe is blocked. As he tries to blow into it to clear it out, hundreds of tiny spiders shoot straight into his mouth. The man screams and thrashes in horror, and then, out of the darkness, emerges Canuella, the deadly queen spider. She attacks him and kills him instantly. Later that night, Mike sneaks back home through the window, but Samantha catches him red-handed. He tries to tell her everything about Joshua, the giant spiders, and the terrifying footprints he saw near the mine, but Samantha doesn't believe a word. She assumes he's just making up stories after watching too many scary TV shows and scolds him instead. Meanwhile, strange things start happening at Mayor Wade's ostrich farm. One of his ostriches is found dead, and the rest are running wild in panic. When Wade goes outside to check, he's horrified to find only bones left behind. He doesn't realize that underneath the ground, giant spiders are waiting in ambush. One by one, his ostriches disappear, swallowed by the earth as the monsters hunt from below. The next day, the town's radio host, Harlan, talks about the strange events happening around Prosperity. He says people are finding their pets dead in their homes and suggests that maybe some dark conspiracy is behind it. Meanwhile, Ashley goes out again to watch her friends racing their bikes. But before she can join them, her boyfriend Brett stops her in his truck and tries to kiss her. When he starts getting too pushy, Ashley firmly says she's not ready for that. Ignoring her, Brett forces himself closer. And in anger, Ashley pulls out her taser gun and shocks him. Brett screams in pain, falls out of the truck, and even embarrassingly pees his pants. Furious, he yells that Ashley overreacted, but she just drives away without a word. Just then, the bushes nearby start shaking, and out crawl giant spiders. Brett freezes in horror, then runs for his life, screaming. He rushes to warn his friends, but they all laugh at him because his pants are wet. Suddenly, one massive spider jumps out and grabs one of the bikers, killing him instantly. Now everyone realizes the danger is real, and chaos breaks out. Some bikers manage to escape, but many are caught and eaten alive. The monstrous spiders are incredibly fast. They chase down bikes, knock the riders off, and attack without mercy. Brett speeds up his bike and performs a huge jump, kicking one of the spiders mid-air and knocking it down. As he crosses the road, another spider runs after him, but gets crushed under a truck. The rest of the spiders climb onto the truck, causing the driver to lose control. The truck slams into a light post and explodes, killing several spiders, but the blast also destroys the town's phone lines. Brett thinks it's over, but suddenly even more spiders crawl out from the bushes. Panicking, he rides off again and accidentally drives straight into the old mine. His bike crashes into a wooden gate, throwing him off. Behind him, spiders start digging through the tunnel walls trying to reach him. Brett barely manages to find another exit and escape. Back in town, Aunt Gladys's dog hears strange noises coming from the basement. It runs down and starts barking at a hole in the wall, when suddenly a huge spider bursts out and drags the dog inside. A few minutes later, Gladys realizes her dog is missing and goes downstairs. She finds its collar near the hole and bends down to look, only to discover that her house is directly connected to the mine tunnels. Before she can react, the spiders leap out, trap her in their sticky web, and capture her. A little later, Chris hears strange noises coming from beneath his house. He goes down to the basement and finds the same hole, along with a giant spider leg sticking out of it. Now he finally understands that Mike was telling the truth all along. The giant spiders are real. The next morning, Chris brings the giant spider leg to Mike. Mike studies it and says that these spiders don't eat their prey right away, which means Aunt Gladys might still be alive. Meanwhile, Ashley is in her room angrily tearing up photos of her boyfriend Brett. Suddenly, a huge spider crawls through her window and slams her hard against the wall. Hearing her terrified screams, Mike, Chris, and Samantha rush upstairs and see the spider wrapping Ashley in its sticky web. Chris tries to fight it off with whatever he can find, but the spider traps him too. Just in time, Samantha grabs her gun and shoots the giant creature dead. Right after that, she calls Deputy Pete on the police radio and tells him to bring every weapon he can find and come to the house immediately. Down in the mines, Brett is still wandering through the tunnels, searching for an exit. He finds a dead worker and many others wrapped tightly in spider webs, some of them still moving, still alive. Suddenly, he sees the giant queen spider, Canuella, feasting on the living victims. Terrified, Brett runs away as fast as he can. Meanwhile, in town, a barber and his friend are closing their shop when two massive spiders leap on the friend, wrapping him in silk within seconds. At the police station, Pete gathers all the guns and ammo he can and drives off towards Samantha's house, not realizing that several giant spiders are silently following his car. When Pete arrives, he hears strange scratching sounds on the car's roof. Without looking, he fires his gun upward, and green, sticky spider blood splashes down on his face. The others come out of the house just in time, and Samantha quickly shoots the spider dead, clearing a path for everyone to get inside the police car. Another spider attacks, but Chris manages to shoot it before it can reach them. Everyone jumps into the car and speeds off toward town. As the car races through the streets, dozens of spiders spot it and start chasing after them. Finally, they reach Harlan's trailer, the radio host from earlier. Samantha grabs his mic and interrupts the show, warning everyone that giant spiders are attacking the town. But nobody believes her, since Harlan's show is usually full of wild alien stories. Suddenly, a massive tarantula crashes into the trailer, shaking it violently. Samantha grabs the mic again and shouts her final warning. "Everyone get to the mall! The concrete walls will protect you." The spider keeps pounding the trailer as Pete fires round after round at it. The creature finally collapses and dies, but the trailer tips over and crashes. The terrified screams of the people inside echo through the still broadcasting radio. Moments later, another tarantula appears, this one leading a swarm of smaller spiders, forcing the group to jump back into their car and race away. On the other side of the town, a driver struggles to control his car because a giant spider is stuck on its roof. The car crashes, and when people rush out to see what happened, they're shocked. Hundreds of spiders are running wild through the streets. Panic spreads everywhere. People scream and run in every direction as spiders crash through windows, leap across rooftops, and attack anyone in sight. Some even crawl up from underground to grab their victims. One man tries to use a ladder as a bridge to reach his car, but the spiders rip open the doors and catch him too. Soon, Sheriff Samantha and her team arrive and are horrified to see the chaos. She yells through the police speaker, "Everyone, run to the mall." Inside the mall, only a few workers and Wade are there. Wade smiles proudly, thinking the crowd is running to see him. But as everyone rushes inside, Samantha and Pete stay at the entrance, firing their guns to protect the others. Once the last person enters, a worker slams the gate shut just as Samantha and Pete dive inside. When the doors finally close, everyone argues about what to do next. They need to contact the army, and Wade says he has a phone, but the signal is weak. So Chris and Harlan decide to climb up to the roof and use the antenna. Meanwhile, the others search the shops for weapons. Mike finds perfume bottles and gives them to Chris, explaining that the smell can confuse the spider's strong senses. After a while, Chris and Harlan reach the roof. Chris climbs the antenna while spiders begin crawling up the building. Harlan fires at them to buy time, and finally Chris gets a signal. But when he calls 911, the operator doesn't believe his story. At that moment, another wave of spiders starts attacking the mall gate, breaking it piece by piece. Everyone waits nervously until Ashley spots Wade sneaking out the back door. She shouts to the crowd, and a mall worker sees Wade heading toward the mines through the basement. Samantha sends her kids there to hide, while the adults prepare to face the giant tarantula. The tarantula smashes through the main gate, then steps aside, allowing thousands of smaller spiders to pour into the mall. Bullets fly everywhere, but there are just too many of them. People rush toward the basement as chaos takes over. Screams echo and spiders grab anyone they can. Pete gets trapped, so he quickly lifts a shutter and slides down beneath it. When spiders try to crawl under, he revs up a chainsaw and chops their legs off to clear the way. Down in the basement, the survivors are stunned to find the next door locked. Wade has sealed it. Now they're all trapped inside with no way out. On the rooftop, Chris and Harlan are surrounded by spiders. To distract them, Harlan bravely jumps off into the bushes below, just as Pete comes running out. Spiders chase after them, but since the mall door only opens from the inside, both men are forced to run for their lives. Meanwhile, deep inside the mines, Wade meets Brett. Before they can escape, spiders find them too. Wade tries to steal Brett's bike and flee, but a giant spider grabs him and drags him into the darkness. Terrified, Brett realizes the only way to survive is to ride away as fast as possible. Back in the mall, Barber comes out of hiding, unaware that a tent nearby is shaking. Suddenly, a spider bursts out and attacks him. On the roof, Chris climbs higher up the antenna, then uses cables to slide down through a vent, landing right inside the mall. Samantha spots him tangled in nets, helps him out quickly, and rushes with everyone else to the basement. Suddenly, loud bangs echo on the basement door, but it's not spiders this time. It's Brett, using a machine to open the way. Everyone helps shoot down the spiders chasing him and blocks the entrance. Still, spiders begin breaking through another door, so Samantha moves the heavy machine in front of it to block the path. She then leads everyone through the tunnels toward the old mine to escape. As they run through the dark tunnels, Chris smells something strange: methane gas. He instantly knows that even a small spark could blow up the entire mine. In the darkness, one mall worker takes a wrong turn and is snatched by a spider. Another spider attacks, but the group kills it quietly using a crossbow to avoid sparks. Deeper inside, they find the spider's nest filled with people wrapped in silk, ready to be eaten. Suddenly, something drops from the ceiling. It's Wade, trapped in webs but still alive. They free him, and Chris tells Samantha to take everyone out while he stays to find Gladys. Before leaving, Chris tries to confess his feelings, but Samantha smiles and says she already knew, and admits she only beat up her husband because he cheated on her. They share a small goodbye kiss and part ways. Back in the basement, the giant tarantula smashes through the door and chases everyone. In the mine, Chris finds bodies wrapped in webs until he finally spots Gladys alive. She points out a glowing area. It's the gold mine her father had discovered. But before they can celebrate, the monstrous queen spider Consuela appears. Chris can't fire his gun because of the gas, so he throws perfume bottles instead. The smell confuses Consuela, giving Chris and Gladys a chance to escape on Brett's bike. As they speed away, Chris secretly hides a matchbox inside a lamp. Outside, the others reach a generator, but realize it's out of fuel. Thinking fast, Ashley uses her taser to power it up. The lights spark on, and the hidden match ignites, triggering a massive explosion. Flames burst through the tunnels, burning every spider, including the Queen Consuela. Chris and Gladys make it out safely, while Wade cries over losing his precious mine. Soon, police, firefighters, and ambulances arrive, along with Harlan and Pete, who came after hearing Harlan's radio broadcast. When asked how many survivors there are, Chris replies that only Gladys made it out alive. Days later, Harlan appears on his show smiling, flashing a brand new gold tooth, a gift from the gold mine Chris discovered. And with that, Eight-Legged Freaks ends on a shining, fiery note.